Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the internets. It's J-Bo here. I'm out and about doing a city walk with a GoPro Black 9 or 9 Black. I have the wind sensor on medium, though it's not windy today, so it shouldn't be an issue. And the visual is the first time I record a walk using the narrow setting, which is more like what you get with a cell phone. So if I turn my head, you shouldn't see things. You shouldn't see things with weird shapes. Should look more natural. But the problem is I have to use the stability boost, and we're going to see how much that eats the battery. I started off with 96%. Usually I get an hour and a half to an hour and 40 minutes. I also changed the setting not to warn me it's running low, because it's been turning off by itself while it's recording, which is annoying. Which you may have noticed in my last walking video I did yesterday, I uploaded, which was Woods Walk Gun Talk number 8. That one ran for about an hour. I got back home and there was like 27% of the battery left, and it had stopped recording on its own twice. And then I noticed when I was charging it, it stopped charging. So with the GoPro, sometimes they get a little finicky and you have to hold the power button down and it resets, and then it works fine. So hopefully we don't have any problems today. It should record all the way through until the battery is depleted at 0 or close to it. So anyway, it's about 36 degrees. It was supposed to be warmer than this today, but as you can see, the sun did not come out, even though it was supposed to be almost all sun today at this time of day. So there you have it. This is what you get with software that predicts your weather instead of humans with intuition. Like everything else today, technology is screwing up society. Now I don't have any sun for my walk. It's all their fault. So I'm gonna go for a walk because we got 2-3 days coming up after tomorrow that is going to be chilly. Then it's gonna warm up again in the 40s, a couple days anyway. But we're gonna have rain, and 10 days from now they are predicting another rain wind event for Maine. A nor'easter storm. If it is a true nor'easter, then it shouldn't cause all the tree damage the last storm we had caused, because that storm was because the winds were coming from the south. And a true nor'easter is the winds coming in from the northeast, because the storm is spinning out off the coast. So this is predicted for the 10th, I think, January 10th. Today is January 3rd. So what I've learned about these weather people is whatever is going to happen that you can count on with their forecast is only a 2 to 3 day window before it actually happens. So 7 days out is useless. So I don't even look at their 10-day forecast and take it seriously. I take a peek at it, but I don't take it seriously. Normally, as you're viewing this, I would not be walking in the first week of January. So it's been a relatively mild winter. I mean, that water right there is frozen or freezing. But we have had the first week of January in the past, especially when I was younger, where we would have a high of 7 degrees. That's 7 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? So that's chilly. I remember one time I had a guitar delivered. It was, the high that day was about 6 or 7. And it sat in the front hallway freezing. And with guitar finishes, if you're aware, you have to, wow, first time I walked through here since that big storm. Good debris all over the place. So anyway, what I was saying is you have to be very careful how you warm the guitar up, because it's wood, it's organic, it expands and contracts. So when it is a high temperature of 7 degrees, the best thing you can do is bring the guitar into a room that's around 30 or 40 and gradually warm it up. Well, didn't have that luxury. The front room it was in, say it was 7 degrees outdoors, that front room isn't heated, but residual heat from the house goes in there. So it was probably 10 to 15 degrees. And long story short, I bring it in the house and followed what most people use for protocol, and that is to just let it sit at room temperature until it warms up. And while it's warming, after an hour or two, you can open the lid a centimeter and just let it sit there to air out and warm up on its own. And in most instances, that's fine. But guess what happened? The entire guitar had fractures all through it in the finish. There was finish cracks over just about the entire guitar. And it was a used guitar purchase from Guitar Center. That car paid absolutely no attention to me, which I'm glad I was watching. That's why I walk on the side of the road towards traffic so I can see it. Anyway, so the guitar finish was all cracked. It was a hollow body guitar. If you're not familiar with that, it had a thin maple top and mahogany sides. And because it wasn't a solid body, the cold weather constricted the wood. And when it warmed up, it expanded, and the wood warms up at a different rate than the finish they put on it. So a lot of it relies on the finish they use. This was a pretty thick polyurethane, but it was a guitar manufactured overseas, and I don't know what they had used for the finish on it. So anyway, I ended up keeping the guitar. I didn't even complain about it. It's one of those things where it was a used guitar, and I'm one of those people that it looked like an older guitar, and I had seen pictures of it before they shipped it, so I know that it cracked somewhere on the way. Now, I have a theory, because I did everything properly, that It sat in a postal truck or UPS truck. I think it came UPS. It sat in their truck over the weekend because I remember it was delivered on a Monday. And at the time, UPS and FedEx, I think, one of those two didn't deliver on Saturday, and they didn't deliver my guitar on Saturday regardless. So it's kind of a moot point in the discussion, I suppose. But I think it sat in a truck all weekend, and then they warmed up the truck, or they brought the truck inside their facility in Auburn. I don't know what they do. Or they let it sit out in the truck, and then they unloaded the truck before the weekend started. So after it was frozen on the truck and didn't get delivered, or something to that effect, where it came in from cold into warm and back out to cold, and the damage was actually done out of my hands, which is what I believe happened. But it's too bad too, because the guitar was from the 1980s. It had made it all this time until just a few years ago, relatively unscathed. I ended up selling it. Somebody wanted it very badly because it was cracked. And that's the thing with guitars. It's not a terrible thing when you have an older guitar and the finish is cracked. It gives it that vintage look that's aged on its own. So some people buy new guitars and they age it like that on purpose. They buy a freeze spray, like you would use like a CO2 spray or something like that causes freezing when you spray something. And they intentionally cause that finish cracking. It's called checking. Now, I have a red Stratocaster that I built from parts. That is a Fender body, and it's red. And what happened to that is what happened with that is that naturally cracked on its own. Hi, how are you? Looks like their fence had a hard time. We're working on their fence. That big storm we had did some damage and they're fixing it. This is like the third time I see them fix this fence because of wind damage. So, a pretty white dog. Beautiful dog. So anyway, as we got a small vegetable bottom of the hill. So some people do that on purpose. I'm not one of those people. If it happens naturally, that's fine, but my red Fender Stratocaster is naturally checking from age because it's a 1996. And you go through summertime, wintertime, you put the air conditioning on, you put the furnace on. Repetitive temperature changes over time cause that. Because the wood expands or contracts with humidity and heat. And in the summertime in Maine, it can get humid. July and August mostly. Plus, we live in a low-lying area and we get a lot of fog at night, which is humidity. So I've noticed that with my record collection. I have a few of the newer gatefold LPs that I got, where the covers on the inside stick to each other. Then when you pull them apart, they go, sometimes the printing comes off. Very annoying. Something to do with the modern manufacturing process and printing. Probably organic bull crap. Because nothing that they use today is good. Not really. If it says better for the environment, it's usually not any good. Unless you go old school. And what I mean by that is, in the old days, the old guitar manufacturers used hide glue in manufacturing guitars. And that is basically horse glue. Where you'd have that old adage where they're taking the horse to the glue factory. Time to retire and get turned into glue. So anyway, these guys had a nice Christmas display. I could have recorded this at night, but it was cold. Too cold to walk at night. This is a nasty hill. So I'm sweating pretty good right now. Oh, dead squirrel. He didn't make it. Oh well. Sorry, Chippy. Better luck in the next life. Now I gotta keep an eye on cars here because we got a crest right here. And they just come over the top, not expecting to see people walking this time of year is the problem. It's January. What kind of crazy idiot would be out here in January? So, walking along. Wow, somebody raked up all those leaves that were here. No more leaves to walk through. So, yesterday on my woods walk, I walked 3.7 miles, almost 4 miles. The sun was starting to go down. It was getting cold. So I was hoping the sun would be out today, which I told you the weather said it would be. And it's obviously not. So, but we're out walking. Now, on my walk yesterday, I mentioned that I was getting cold because my sweat was freezing, which it was when the sun started going down. So I said I was going to wear one less shirt, because I usually wear 3 layers of shirts, loose fitting, because that air-filled insulation in between layers is what keeps you warm and causes you to sweat. But it was also causing me to have the sweat turn cold. So now I am wearing my extra thick puffy hoodie with one less shirt, and I am sweating really good, but I'm not cold. And I kind of knew that would happen. And the reason why I wasn't wearing this hoodie before is 40 degrees and over. It is too warm, way too warm. But for today, this is just right. And I'm wearing a neck collar to keep my neck warm and the back of my neck warm, so I don't have to put the hood on. Because when you're walking, you don't want to wear the hood on a hoodie, because people aren't looking for you. and you step out off a curb, you don't hear a car coming, or you take a quick look, and then you start walking. And the problem is you can't really take a quick look, because when you look off to the side to cross on a corner, the hoodie blocks your line of sight. Your peripheral vision's gone. Peripheral vision. So it's actually a hazard for me anyway. I have good peripheral vision, but not when I'm wearing a hoodie. So looks like this big old tree survived the storm we had. Some of it came off over here. This is the first walk I've been on since before Christmas on this route. I've been doing woods walks, which have been nice. A couple times at Thorn Craig Bird Sanctuary. I just walk around till I hit 5 miles, but I never record or upload the whole thing. I did that the last time and it came out to a 2-hour video. And normally I walk 5 miles in 1 hour and 40 minutes, hour and a half. So when I'm recording and stopping and looking at things, the time really increases. So the best time I've done is walking 15 minutes a mile. 15:20, 15:30, that kind of thing. I usually average about 17 to 18 minutes a mile. And when I first started walking, I was averaging 20 to 21 minutes a mile. So you can tell your progress and how well you're doing. And it's kind of paramount because we got one battery for this GoPro. Usually lasts 1 hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. Sometimes I can make it back on one battery, and sometimes I can't. So if it just turns off right in the middle of talking, I do have my backup. I will take my backup out and either keep recording the rest of the walk, or I will just say goodbye and edit it on to the end before uploading it, like I do sometimes. Depends how the walk goes, conversation, etc. Like today, it seems like I got a lot of stuff to talk about. So I've been getting good compliments from people that know me and my shooting videos. I got one from my cousin Dawn, who lives in Arizona, which one time he sent me a private message telling me it was 118 degrees on his ranch with 10% humidity. And I was thinking, well, that's hot. That's definitely hot and uncomfortable. But 10% humidity is pretty good. That's a dry heat. Now 118 degrees like that in Florida, and people would literally be dropping dead all over the place, and the AC would have a hard time keeping up. It would suck up all the power. They'd have issues with that. So, and I know 118 degrees is hot no matter what. I'm not arguing that aspect of it. But everybody familiar with dew points associated with humidity understands how horrible a 72-degree dew point is when it's 98 degrees out. That means water doesn't evaporate until it's over 72 degrees. Water evaporates at 72 degrees. That's what that means, because the air is so moist. Now 10% humidity, as soon as you throw water out on something, it evaporates immediately when it's 100 degrees. So that's the difference. Your body doesn't have a way to ventilate. So you sweat and you sweat, and your sweat doesn't evaporate right away, and you overheat. Now when it's 100 degrees, you sweat, and your sweat evaporates almost immediately. So it almost has the same effect, but it's different. You can keep drinking water and be okay. When it's humid and hot, drinking more water isn't going to fix your problem. You have to get in front of a fan or air conditioning, or your body can't cool off, no matter how much water you've drunk. So you can be overhydrated and still have problems. And that's, as far as I can tell, that's the distinguishing difference. If you disagree or agree, leave a comment about it, your opinion or personal experiences. I read about a lot of that stuff because I was reading one time that these people went out in the desert in Nevada. They were out in the middle of nowhere, and they got a flat tire. And they didn't have a spare. So go figure, right? You're gonna go out in the middle of the desert without a spare, you're almost asking for trouble to begin with. Well, they were like, okay, we can't get any cell service. They're out in the middle of nowhere. So there's no cell service, no spare tire, and they got a flat. Well, we're just gonna wait around till somebody shows up. We'll be okay because we got a case of bottled water in the back of the car. Which they did, which is good. They, you know, they thought it had at least that much. But guess what happened? In the high Nevada heat, the car got hot, and the bottled water overheated and the bottles exploded. So all of their stuff in plastic bottles, their water, they lost it all instantly, just about. They all busted when they were sleeping. So there you have it. There it is. I ended up finding all of them dead. They all died. So I believe that's the case. Or a couple of them died. A couple of them had, you know, like renal failure, kidney failure, because they ran out of salts. They dehydrated. And they started getting organ failure. So, nasty business. So hopefully this is recording okay. I think it is. Seems to be anyways. The stabilizer boost, I can't turn it off on the narrow view setting, so it's part of the setting. So we're stuck with it. If it kills the battery, it does. If it doesn't, I can't do anything about it. So my app just told me I've walked 2 miles. You can't hear that, but it's in my ear. It says I've walked 2 miles in 35 minutes. So that's about 17 and a half minutes a mile. So there you have it. I'm sweating a lot right now. So while the temperature is 35 degrees, feels more like 32 or 34. I don't mind walking in this colder temperature because we just saw some ice that I did have to go around, which is one of the reasons why I don't walk this time of year, because it would be like that on the whole walk. Even if they clean these sidewalks, it'd be snow and ice on them, and I could wear mountain climbing boots with the spikes on them, but a lot of it would be pavement, and I don't know if that would dull those or what would happen. But right now I'm doing a compromise. It was nice to let my body heal up and not do as much walking, but I've been managing to get at least 1 or 2 walks a week because of the weather, instead of the usual 25 miles. a week. So I would go for at least 4 walks a week, about 5 miles, a little bit, 5 miles plus usually. And then you add it all up at the end of the week, somewhere between 22 and 25 miles. And as you can hear, my nose is running because it's cold. Trying not to be disgusting, so my apologies. And we got this water thing here. Must have been busy during that big rainstorm. So we got an old Camaro. Pretty cool. Looks like they're working on it. We're thinking about it. So anyway, thank you for coming with me if you're still here. So walking on a route like this, or anywhere really for that much in the winter time when there's snow on the ground, is pretty much a no-go. Because for one thing, when you walk 1 mile, it feels like 3. It irritates your ankle joints more because they're turning from side to side over things, and you're fighting not to slip and fall. So it ends up being bad wear and tear, rather than just walking with what I'm wearing now is good walking sneakers. And when I go walking in the woods, I wear hiking boots, and those are comfortable. I got some good comfortable ones, which if you want to know what they are Nortiv 8, Nortiv, and the number 8. They're about 60 bucks a pair. I managed to find some for $32 in my size on eBay, brand new. And they've worked out wonderfully. Walked many miles in them already, and I got no splits, no ungluing, no unstitching. Somebody doing roofing today behind that tree. Looks like they have some kind of heater vent hanging over the top of the roof, so if their hands get cold, they can go warm them up. Well, isn't that lovely? So the air is nice and clean and fresh in Maine. Even when it gets hot and humid, oppressively humid, where we will get like that St. Louis, Missouri humidity, 72% dew point. 72 degree dew point with 98% humidity. You step out of your air-conditioned house and it feels like you're walking into a steam sauna, literally. Feels just like a steam bath. And I remember growing up, we didn't have AC because we were white trash, and the kitchen drawers would swell up and stick because it was so humid. And you could see the records in my record collection before we were using air conditioning for that, where the top parts of the spines were starting to fray from repeatedly every year being exposed to humidity. So wood does not like humidity. And paper, cardboard used for record sleeves, is a pulp product. I am getting another phone call right now. I'm not answering it. All right, that gives me something to talk about. I got a phone call yesterday. It's like the 5th time I've gotten it this year. And they are using software to mask the caller ID when they call you. And this is a scam you gotta watch out for, especially if you're older, because it's easy to fall for it if you're not familiar with the new technologies. So what happens is you get a phone call from a scammer, and like I have my bank saved in my contacts, and I get a phone call from my bank. My icon picture I saved in the contact comes up. The phone number it says it's coming from comes up. And what happens is it's a scammer. And they're from India. Usually they have an Indian accent. They have your name and they have your phone number. And they might have a couple pieces of other information. But the scam is almost always the same. And that's basically, we have 3 fraudulent charges or 2 fraudulent charges. Yesterday they called me and said I had $3,000 in charges made at 3 different places. And the other thing to watch for is they always name a place that is very popular where they have a high percentage of somebody having an account there. So they name eBay, Amazon, and Walmart. So those are 3 likely places that most people have some sort of account they've made, and where they may or may not have stored credit card info in their account. So they call up and say people made charges. This is your bank calling you as a courtesy call, letting you know that this has happened. We're going to cancel your card, is what they say. And most people, if they get caught off guard, they're like, oh no, this sucks. And then this is the catch. This is what they do. They ask you to verify your card number. That should be a red flag on its own, because your bank is never going to call and ask you that, ever. They're not going to call you when your birthday is. They're not going to ask you when your social security number is. Most of the time, they would just cancel your card, and you don't find out about it till you go to use it, and it doesn't work. Now, my younger brother has a lot of experience with that, because he would go working out of state after buying something in Maine, and then 3 hours later, he's in Massachusetts or Connecticut buying something, and they list it as a fraudulent charge, and they just cancel his card automatically. So obviously that's very annoying to him, and I think he got them to stop doing that. But there's different things you can do. With my card and my bank, I have it set where if anybody spends more than $10, I get a text and I get an email. So I get a text and an email when somebody makes a charge on my card. Every time there's a balance transaction greater than $10, it shows up. The other thing I do is I use an app. And I'm happy with this app on my local bank. It's not a big bank, it's a local credit union, which also I think is better for security, because they're not too big for their own good and they actually care about their customers. And so between that and being able to call the number on the back of your card and canceling it yourself, somebody made a false charge, which has happened on my account, for $200 something. I didn't make that charge. I called my bank after if it would have been after hours, I would have canceled my card. And I think it was, because I did cancel my card. So I called the number on the back of the card, cancel the card. You can do that automatically. You don't have to speak with anybody. just to play it safe, which is annoying if you have bills due and are pre-programmed to pay, like I do with my phone and stuff like that. But I called the bank and they ended up crediting me what was stolen. They verified it was stolen. So I also called my bank to let them know that a fake caller ID number shows up. And they said, thanks for calling. We're aware of that. They've had several instances of that happening. Apparently, they have not fixed it. And I don't think they can because, oh, joy. Merry Christmas. Looks like they had some lights in there. That's nice. So anyway, that's my story. I'm just sharing it with you. So now when I get a phone call from my bank, I don't answer it. And normally someone would say, what if it is an emergency and something important? Well, they're not going to call you anyway. It's not how that works. And if they did, they wouldn't ask you for card information, your birthday, they wouldn't ask you for anything. So these guys, they wanted to know the card number, and I told them no. One time that I got this call, they read my card number back to me to verify if that was my card number. So that was alarming. So on that call, I canceled my card and called my bank and got a new card. And this is all very annoying, as you can well imagine. But you have a lot of things like the Hannaford supermarket on the East Coast. If you're not familiar with it, they stretch up from Florida all the way up into Maine. There used to be a local Maine company, and they spread all over the place. Thanks. And they had a security breach where millions of transactions were leaked to hackers. So financial info was leaked from millions of users all up and down the East Coast. So that's the age we live in now, and they're going to digital currency like they want to do, which is going to be the death of all of us, to be honest with you. Authoritarian governments are going to oppress you with it, like we saw with the courts being abused in America and in Europe, people being brought into jail for hate crimes. And you know, when you get digital currency, government has control of your account. And we saw that in Canada. So before you say, oh, that can't happen, it did happen. That trucker protest in Ottawa, people that donated to that protest, the government declared a national emergency, and they declared that group a terrorist group. So anybody donating money to it had their accounts frozen. So now you have money in your bank account, and people weren't able to pay their mortgage. They got behind on their mortgage and in trouble for that because the government didn't like them donating to a pro-liberty democracy, real democracy, and they were denied their voice by an authoritarian government. And that should have opened people's eyes. And then you had TD Bank from Toronto freezing accounts. And you also had GoFundMe steal their money and refuse to give it to them. And I don't know if the Canadians ever got their money back they donated. I got the money back I donated. I donated some money to that. I got my money not from GoFundMe, from Go Send Go, I think it is. As it tells me, 52 minutes, 8 seconds. I just hit the 3 mile mark, which I remember because I always hit 3 miles right about at this sign. So we're on pace. Anyway, Go Send Go is a Christian-based organization who said, you know, the money is going to go where it's supposed to go. We're not going to play along with this violation of liberty. But they were forced to legally by the Canadian government. So even though they're not a Canadian company, national security, blah, 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 domestic terrorist. So they like to use the domestic terrorist clause. And so these people were forced by having their accounts locked to stop funding the truckers convoy that was getting money for fuel. Then they further choked off the fuel for these truckers by putting up roadblocks so people can't come into Ottawa. And then they turned a news cycle in because of their terrorist activity. Local businesses were going bankrupt because the truckers were preventing traffic and causing chaos and anarchy because they were violent, racist bigots who are a threat to democracy. And that's how they played that. And in the end, I think it blew up in their face because their liberal government right now is not very popular with the people, but they're going to find a way to steal that election anyway. You watch. They have one coming up. And I'm not even sure the conservative that's leading in the polls right now is even truly a conservative, or is she just another piece of... You never know these days. So anyway, that's my opinion on all that. So I keep getting these phone calls, and I can't block the phone call because it's my bank. Sometimes I want to call them for whatever reason. Maybe once or twice a year. So I guess we're learning how to live with that nonsense, and I don't like it. And if they switch to digital currency, that can be hacked. And they're always coming up with AI and software that's vulnerable. I don't care how encrypted it is. You know, we got Hollywood stars that use the cloud. And they ran software programs. One of them took over a year to finally get the correct password, but they just ran the software on a computer constantly till it finally got lucky. And mathematically, they'll get lucky. Now the thing is, Joe Blow in Maine, like me, I'm not really important to hackers, because even if they do that, find a way through the encryption, you know, they're gonna find a pile of dust. So it's one of those things. Anyway, take my wisdom for what it's worth. I don't know everything, but I know that much. So I hope you're having a beautiful day today and things are good. And apologize for all the traffic noise. Unavoidable this time of day. It's about 2:30 in the afternoon, which is an old joke. It's like, what's the best time to go to the dentist? 2:30. 2:30. Ha ha ha. So, as you can see by that flag up there, there's no wind at all, thankfully. Now these cars going by is making the breeze, and I feel cold because my sweat is freezing. Not my favorite time of year to walk. I have walked a couple times where it was 80 degrees at midnight, extremely hot and humid, wearing shorts and a shirt, and it was dead calm like this, and it was miserable. That was midnight in the dark, and you don't get the traffic like this that late at night, so I didn't get much traffic breeze. And when one did go by, it was like, oh, that feels nice. So I hope you don't mind my banterings. Hopefully it's tolerable. I know a lot of people don't walk for the whole walk. I do have 2 or 3 people that do, though. According to my stats, they enjoy watching the entire walk. Very much thank you for that. Now this is an intersection here I got to keep my eye on, because that red light that's red right now for that pickup truck, his light's going to turn green, but I'm not going to see that. It's still going to be red. So it's deceptive, and I know he's turning, so I'll be all right. But there's been a couple times right about here, somebody had to stop because they were going straight. Because I can't tell when that light's green for them, because the only 2 lights I have are red. So that's, you know, people could say, well, why don't you use the push the button and wait for a walk? Well, because I'm standing around getting cold, that's why. Or I'm standing around getting hot in the summertime. So anyways, we're walking. Somewhere around the corner up ahead, in front of, let's see if I get this right. We had 3 miles back at that sign. I'm not going to look at my app and cheat. If I remember right, I'll be about 3.7 at that intersection where that red light sign is. Not this sign, but the one up ahead with the lights on. So I'll hit 4 miles on a hill past the Christmas display across the street from a church. Should be about 4 miles. And then between there and home, that's another 1.3 miles, 1.4, sometimes 1.5 if GPS is going to be generous. I am using internet that comes with my phone. It's not as accurate as the land internet for some reason, or GPS in general isn't as accurate as it could be on a phone, but it's very accurate on my Apple Watch. And I've still been mystified by that, because my Apple Watch, I don't wear it on my walk because the Google Fit app is better on my phone as far as cataloging the info and all that stuff, calories, and the Apple one does have a fitness thing, and the Apple Watch does not have any internet because it's not associated with my cell phone, because I use a Samsung. Now when I used an Apple phone, which I still have an Apple iPhone, I just don't use it as a phone. I basically use it as a digital recording device. And I also have an iPad, which also doesn't have any phone service, even though they sell iPads that do. I The Apple Watch GPS is more accurate than my phone to a T without any internet. So, not sure what kind of voodoo that is, and what kind of magic, but it is. Anyways, when I wear my Apple Watch and I use my Google Fit app together in tandem, my Google Fit app screws up and interferes with each other. The Apple Watch will keep a good record no matter what, but it's my phone that screws up when I use the Apple Watch. So there's that. So I end up just using the Google Fit with the phone, call it good, because the most it's ever been off is 0.2 of a mile, which is not really enough to make a big deal about anything. So, all right, walking along. It's been a while since I walked this route. Never thought I'd be walking this route January 3rd, but here I am. Anyways, walking along. My hands are sweating through. I'm getting moisture sweating through my hands, my gloves. So it's too cool to take the gloves off. And when I wear them, I am sweating right now. So this is good. I am not cold at all. I wear leggings underneath my military fatigues. They're warm. I'll get just sneakers and a regular pair of socks I'd wear in the summer because it's not brutally cold. My feet aren't cold. I'm good. I'm wearing a long sleeve thermal t-shirt with an extra loose fitting t-shirt on top of that. And I'm wearing this thick hoodie. And this hoodie is reversible. So I can have red plaid or black. I don't want red plaid. I'm not a fan of plaid. I got a bus here. I'm not getting on the bus. Hi. Hi, buddy. How you doing? Little doggy don't like the bus. See, the dog wasn't mad at me, he was mad at the bus. The dog remembers me. So we got this Christmas decorations here, which I missed. I missed this, so I'm gonna record it. And I'll just shut up and record it, and you can just see it. Well, isn't that lovely? We had a shaking snowman that said, "Do the snowflake shake." To me, it looked like a freezing your can off shake. So I didn't get to see those before Christmas, so we saw them after, and it probably looked better at night all lit up, but you get what you get. I'm not charging any fees to watch this, and it's not monetized, so no refunds, folks. I'm sorry you got gypped. All right, we got Holy Family Church. Holy Family, Holy Cross. They used to have a skating rink out behind it that they always had locked up because they had a hockey team, kids hockey team. And children would practice on there and compete locally. It is a beautiful church. Starting to get some green running down from the copper roofing. Kind of looks neat. They usually clean that. I'll probably clean that this spring. I don't know what they charge people to do that. There, I just hit 1 hour, 9 minutes, 4 seconds. It just told me I hit 4 miles on that hill outside that church, like I said. So now when I get to Thorn Craig, the junction box outside, electrical, I don't know if it's phone or power or whatever it is some kind of thing off to the side of the sidewalk with a lock on it, and that'll be 4.5 or 4.6 miles. Somebody lost the funeral flag, so I'm not going to pick that up. Bad luck. So anyways, we'll be going by Bork's Market. It's been a local mom and pop since we were kids. They used to have 2 locations. The one on Pine Street in Lewiston has new ownership as of a few years ago, because the neighborhood, to be honest with you, has gone to crap. It's been democrated. It's full of crime now, drugs, prostitution, riffraff, everything you can expect from a Democrat-run neighborhood. But down with Whitey, it's all his fault, even though Democrats run everything. So here's Bork's Market. Bork's Park and Shop. They have little pizza packages you can buy here, where you get pie crust and sauce and cheese and pepperonis, and pretty affordable. But I don't eat that stuff anymore. That's what happened with celiac disease. So again, if this just stops recording, thank you for watching. Somewhere between here and home, it's going to stop recording. So when will that be? I don't know. I did change the settings to turn off automatically when the battery is depleted, rather than warning me and stopping. I got a fire truck. Let's record the fire truck. Go get him. Go put out the fire. Thanks for stopping. Appreciate it. So, walking along, singing my song. Parking lot's full at the grocery market, supermarket, Hannaford's, place I was telling you where they got their security breached and customer card stolen. From here down to Florida. They estimated about 15 million transactions were leaked. Security breach. That was a couple years ago. So protect your stuff, folks. There's really no true thing you can do. You know, you can keep cash in your house, but you can get broken into and that can be stolen. Your house could burn down and you lose all your money. You know, and that stuffed mattress. Good luck getting a stuffed mattress out the door when the house is on fire. You know, it's not the kind of thing I would want to do. So anyways, got some ice that fell in the road here and broke off something. Probably fell off the back of a truck. And just that little bit of slushiness in the road, these sneakers were really slippery. And these are my comfortable walking shoes, so they suck in the wintertime. Not made for that. I got an airplane. So, oh, I see a big pine tree right there leaning over that didn't used to. Big hemlock. That's a hemlock. All right. An eastern hemlock. So anyway, like I was saying, around January 10th, they're predicting another high wind event. I've seen two different predictions. One is doing the fear mongering. And I know what they do. They scare people so they get ad clicks. You know, they're talking about 69, 71 mile an hour gust again. Because that's what we had the last time. So now they're going to get everybody talking about it. Look at this. And then they go check it out. And then it's just ad revenue. So you can't take anything seriously anymore. Everybody's interested in ad clicks, traffic on the internet, and they use fear. We're gonna get a big nor'easter. 6 feet of snow, 12 feet of snow. Ooh, everybody starts. We're all gonna watch the news tonight and see what they say about the 12-foot snowstorm. Then a snowstorm comes and it's 12 inches. And of course I'm exaggerating with 12 feet of snow, but this is, you know, this is what they do. And the storm's never what they say it's going to be. And then we get one like the last time. That was worse than what they said was going to be. So you can't win for trying. At least this time, the power goes out. I'll have options. Still gotta order one of those portable heaters. That worked really well. So, with the propane heater, indoor. It's approved for indoor use. I don't know what kind of magic it uses with that, but it has a sensor built into it that senses oxygen in the room, and if it goes below a certain level, it'll turn off automatically. At least that's what you hope it does. So, highly recommend those. It did work well. It's not really feasible on high. You could get your house to about 70, 75 degrees easy with it, but it would use an awful lot of propane. One 1-pound bottle was lasting about 4 hours on medium, and medium kept the house at about 64. The immediate room I was in, not the entire house, but that's enough to. Here's the 4.6 miles marker, that junction box I was talking about. It's always what that comes out to, right there. So, whew, we're winding down our walk. There's the Thorn Craig Burn Sanctuary, where I do most of my woods walks. The last one I did was in a new place I'd never been before. So, hope you enjoyed that. When I get to the end of this road, I'll stop recording anyway. For the most part. Actually, I got a little ways to go, but a lot of times with the boost on, I'll run out of power between here and the furthest corner on the end of this road. So hopefully I'll have time to sign off. So I'll just sign off now. Then I won't talk for the rest of the walk. Then you can either watch or not watch. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Click like. I have gun videos. I started doing vinyl record collection videos. Got a couple of those up. And my woods walks where I talk about firearms, firearm laws, and other things. And then we got my regular city walks like this in Lewiston, Maine. And I thank you very much for watching. So now I will just let this record until it stops. Thanks again. Click like and subscribe. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, and anything else. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.